Good afternoon. I'm Gary Carruthers, Chancellor at New Mexico State University. Shortly after midnight last night, we were notified of an officer-involved shooting of one of our students in the Chamisa Village area. I've been monitoring that event all through the evening, and so we just completed a briefing a few moments ago about the incident with a number of the people here employed by New Mexico State University who take care of safety and housing and student life. I want to commend everyone at New Mexico State University for how quickly they responded to this incident and how carefully they took care of all of our students and the kind of security interests that were posed as a result of this incident. At this time, I'd like to introduce Chief Stephen Lopez, who will go in a little more detail about the incident, and then he'll be willing to answer questions at the end of his comments.
Thank you, Chancellor. My name is Stephen Lopez. I'm the Chief of Police for the New Mexico State University system. And we'll do some questions and answers at the end, so if you have any, please hold them until we get through the initial comments. As we begin, I would like to say that I am glad that there has not been a loss of life as a result of this incident. The individual who was shot last night is in stable condition at University Medical Center in El Paso, and NMSU has reached out to his mother to ensure she is aware of his condition, and we wish him a speedy recovery. I would also like to say that I am very pleased that the officer involved was not injured. At approximately 11:34 p.m. last night, a 911 call was received at Mesilla Valley Regional Dispatch Authority indicating there was a man with a gun in the Chamisa Village apartments on the NMSU Las Cruces campus. Both of the officers who were on duty responded immediately, arriving on scene in approximately 1 minute, and both were wearing body cameras. This incident is now being investigated by the multi-agency officer-involved shooting task force, and the results of their findings will be presented to the district attorney. While this investigation has been greatly aided by having the body camera video, the investigators are still looking for anyone who may have witnessed the events leading up to or including the shooting. They want to ensure that the investigation is thorough and complete and that no witnesses are missed. Anyone who may have information on this incident is asked to call area code 575-646-3311. Based on my personal review of the body camera video, it is clear that the first officer on scene heard the individual making threats to someone in the area. He saw that the subject had a handgun, and he gave commands to the individual. When the individual failed to comply, the officer fired 2 shots, with one striking the subject in the leg. I am very pleased that despite being confronted with an armed threat, the officer maintained his composure, communicated effectively with the second officer and dispatch, and quickly secured the suspect and requested emergency medical treatment. The second officer, a supervisor, also acted quickly to ensure an emergency message was sent out to the university community and that the scene was secured. We will not be releasing the names of the officer or the suspect today. I can tell you that the officer involved has been with the NMSU Police Department for a little over 2 years. The suspect is a 28-year-old student at NMSU who does live in the Chamisa Village apartments. We also will not be releasing the body camera video today. The investigators want to interview all witnesses prior to the video being released in order to reduce the potential for false memories being created. At this time, we expect that they should be substantially complete with interviews by Friday afternoon, and if so, we will release the video at that time. As we conclude, I want to thank a number of people for their assistance during this incident. First, there were 2 men who were fishing at the alumni pond when they heard the gunshots. They rushed to the scene with a medical kit to offer assistance and helped until the NMSU Fire Department arrived just 3 minutes and 30 seconds later, followed by an ambulance. In addition, the staff from Housing and Residential Life did an outstanding job in working with students in the area and assisting in maintaining an outer perimeter on the scene until additional officers arrived. They then continued to ensure that the needs of residents were met. Justin Bannister from University Marketing and Communications was also instrumental in helping get the word out to news media, and his coming to the scene to help answer questions and provide updates was invaluable. The counseling center staff also stepped up to make accommodations for counseling for any students in the area who might need assistance. I would also like to thank the officers from both the NMSU Police Department as well as the surrounding agencies for responding quickly to assist the initial 2 officers. Finally, I would also like to thank all of the students who live in Chamisa Village Apartments who reported the dangerous behavior, as well as all those who have come forward to offer information on this incident. So with that, I am available for any questions that you might have at this time. Yes?
Any understanding or concept of whether the subject was suffering from mental illness or anything associated with record or anything?
That's something that's under investigation, and the investigators will certainly be looking into whether that may or may not have been a factor. Yes?
Do you have a motive at this time for the shoot?
No, that is also something that the investigators will be looking into to try to determine what led up to this incident.
You said threats towards an individual. Could you go into more detail about that?
It'll be a lot clearer when you actually are able to hear it on the body camera video come Friday. At this time, all I can say is that he did have a handgun and was verbalizing threats to people that were in the area.
Do we know where the suspect is transported, which hospital?
He's at UMC in El Paso.
Possible charges at this time?
Probable charges, but we don't know what they will be. That's something that the investigators and the district attorney will have to work together on to decide what's going to be presented to the grand jury. Yes.
Do you believe he's acting alone, or should students still be concerned about any other possible people?
There is no indication there was anybody else involved. This appears to be a very isolated, very rare incident. Right in the middle? Yes.
Oh, I just want to verify. You said that the officer who shot the two bullets had been working for 2 years with the police.
A little over 2 years with our department. That is correct.
Increased security since?
Increased security?
Will there be any increased security on campus following this incident?
We already had been looking at increased security measures as a result of other incidents earlier in the year, so those will continue to be explored and maintained.
Are budget cuts affecting how much the school can protect the students?
Budget cuts are affecting the entire institution. I wouldn't say that it is endangering the students, but this is one of the realities of the state budget cuts is that it does limit the funding that's available to do certain things.
How do we know there's not another gun in Chamisa?
There's no guarantee that there's not, but in my experience, being at NMSU for over 28 years, it's fairly rare that we come across a firearm in the student apartments. It's both against the law and against housing policy, and most just don't do it. And fairly confident that roommates and suite mates would be reporting if they felt there was a danger.
You said witnesses were at a pond fishing party. Isn't there like curfews on how long they can go fishing in the area? Or?
That is a question you will have to ask the New Mexico Game and Fish Department as far as the fishing proclamation and limits on that.
How long is it paid leave for? I mean, will the officer be on paid leave, or will he?
The officer is on the standard 3 days of administrative leave while we get the initial parts of the investigation taken care of, and then he'll be evaluated to ensure he's safe to return before he's able to come back.
Chief, give us an idea what your staffing is like on patrol at that hour.
So last night there were 2 police officers working, and that's what was out there.
Are they both on leave, or is it just the officer that fired the shots?
Just the officer who fired the shots.
There was only 2 police patrolling at that time?
That is correct. There were 2 officers patrolling last night.
The whole campus?
Correct.
Were any classes canceled or school functions affected?
No, this did not affect any of the academic programs.
Could you talk about the guns on campus policy? No guns in dorms?
It's actually not as much a policy as it is state statute. So state statute does not give the Board of Regents nor the administration much authority over firearms. It's simply prohibited to have them in the academic buildings or in the residence halls.
Do you know if he had a permit to carry?
Do not know if he had a permit or not, but even if he did, it would not be valid to have it on campus.
Are there any CAs or anyone that makes sure that there aren't any firearms on campus or in the dorms? How do they regulate that?
That's part of the housing contract. They make sure students are aware of it. There are signs when you enter campus, virtually every road as you come in and most of the common walking paths. There's a sign indicating that the firearms are prohibited in accordance with state law. Yes.
After the election, there was several around campuses in the U.S. where there were hate crimes against people like Muslims and stuff because of the election. Do you think this was related to that?
There is absolutely no indication this had anything at all to do with the election.
Do we know how long he was a student for, or what he majored in?
I do not know that. Yes.
Going back to the budget cuts, does it affect, more specifically, how does it affect the police department here? Do you have less people out at night or anything else?
Obviously, when there's budget cuts, it affects the funding that's available for personnel. And that's the number one part of the funding for the department. That's the number one impact the university feels.
So
That's one of the reasons we've stepped up efforts to try to get the university community taking care of themselves, identifying and reporting suspicious behavior. And the university has already made the commitment. We're bringing in a program called Green Dot. It's a bystander intervention program to help students be able to recognize dangerous situations and report it before things happen, as well as be able to take direct and indirect intervention during incidents in order to help protect each other. Because the reality is, even if we had 5 officers out, the chances that an officer would have been right there when the incident started are very slim. That happens with most violent crimes. The criminals just don't commit them right in front of a police officer.
Officers usually shoot to kill. This officer shot him in the leg. Is that normal protocol or?
I don't know of any police officers who shoot to kill. This officer, you'll be able to see it on the video when it's released, was acting very rapidly to a threat that was being directed at him, and he did not have time to take careful aim at all. So it was a very quick reaction.
Were
Yes.
parents notified? Was a notification sent out to parents and students?
We do not notify parents directly. We notify the students directly, and the students have the ability to put their parents on their notification account. Many students have done that, so those parents do get the same emergency notification message. Any parents who want to receive that can encourage their students to add their information, or they can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. The NMSU Police Department's official Facebook and Twitter accounts automatically stream all emergency messages that go out.
You said you spoke
Yes.
to the victim's mother. Is she gonna make arrangements to come down?
I did not. The Dean of Students spoke with her, and I don't know if she's making arrangements to come down and visit her son or not. All right, any other questions?
One last thing,
Yes.
there's 2 Spanish-speaking stations here. I don't know if you know any Spanish or might be willing to give us a quick comment.
I can do enchilada, tacos, Dos Equis, but I'm not good at Spanish. Justin, are you?
No, sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry.
No problem.
All right, thank you all very much. If anybody needs any one-on-ones, I'll be available up here for a little while. Thank you.
Thank you, Gene.